Welcome to the NLP View with your host, Donna Blinston. Each week, Donna will explore how the techniques of NLP can help improve your personal and professional life. And now, here's your host, Donna Blinston.
Hello and welcome to the NLP View. My name is Donna Blinston. Today's guests are the English sisters, authors of the best-selling book, Entrancing Tales for Change, with Hypnosis and NLP. Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, is an approach to communication, personal development, and psychotherapy. The title, it refers to the connections between the process of the brain, hence neuro, our language, linguistics, and the habits that we have developed through our life, which is programming. NLP is often described as a toolkit for life because it offers specific techniques for improving how you think, how you feel, and how you act. Entrancing Tales for Change is a collection of beautifully written short tales that subtly use the power of linguistics to guide the reader on a journey of change. So I'd like to welcome to the show the English sisters, Violetta and Zukta. Hello, Violetta and Zukta. How are you?
Hello, thank you for having us. We're so excited about being on the show.
Yes, thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, you're more than welcome. It's great to have you on the show and to share with our audience your book. It's a beautiful gift, and I know personally, after reading it, it just encapsulated me from start to finish. And when I started it, I couldn't put the book down. I wanted to read the next one, and then I was gutted then that I got to the end. And it's strange. I'm experiencing, it's very much like changing thoughts, and I'm very much aware of new insights and a change in my attention, I think, is the main thing. Mm-hmm. The direction of my attention has changed, and it's wonderful. It is. So I want to thank you personally for writing it to start off with.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely. That's
very rewarding.
Yes, as authors, that's the most beautiful thing that I think any author would want to hear.
Absolutely.
And could ever hear, really.
Yeah.
Because as you know, when you write a book, it comes from the heart. So it's so rewarding to hear this kind of feedback.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Oh, you're welcome. It's
a gift to receive it. It is a gift.
It's true, so that's all I can say, really. So, can you share with our audience where you are right now?
Well, at the moment, we're in Rome.
Yes. As Violetta said, we're in Rome.
And we're really enjoying living here. And we're actually writing the sequel to Entrancing Tales for Change with Hypnosis and NLP. Because when we did write the first book, Entrancing Tales for Change, we really had no idea how well it was going to be received by the whole of the NLP community and the hypnosis community, but also by the general public, who we find are writing to us saying that they're reading our tales and that they are noticing change, because it is quite a curious little book. As you it's not the usual kind of novel or best-selling book to read. It's quite a strange little collection of tales that are quite unusual.
Yes, they are indeed.
They are unusual, and I think it's that unusualness that keeps you reading, and you hear that you read the title and you're drawn in to want to read it, and it's very, 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 it's very well written. It is very well written. What made you write the book?
This is Youre speaking. What made us write the book? I suppose it was a desire to communicate our learnings, because we were so enthusiastic about what we'd learned and how much it actually changed our lives, that we really wanted to use the power of language and words to be able to do so to other people's lives and to be able to make changes happen in their lives too. So it was something that was really important to us. And we learned how to use this powerful language, the language of change, which is also the language that hypnotherapists use when they're doing this, kind of Ericksonian hypnotherapy that we use, which is a very powerful language that usually does bring about great changes in people's lives. And we wanted to put that down in words, didn't we, Violetta?
We did, because we wanted to help a wider audience, because we thought we can help our clients, or we have a series of hypnotic ramblings on YouTube and on our website where we ramble on, but it's not the same as the written word. The written word is more concise, and people at home, a lot of people have told us that they take our book to bed and they read it before they fall asleep, and then when they're actually sleeping, they notice when they wake up in the morning, they feel really good and refreshed, and it's a diff, because books are special, really, aren't they?
Well, they are, yeah.
And they can reach. People in India are buying our book. People all over the world are buying our book. It's been so amazing. It's so beautiful, and we knew that by writing a book that this could happen, and it has happened, and it's been wonderful.
It has, really, and it was actually writing the book was a journey of change for ourselves. It was a healing process in a way. It was very revolutionary for ourselves as well, wasn't it?
Well, because every tale we wrote, we never really knew when we were going to be inspired. Anything could inspire us, a leaf, a star, an animal.
It's quite amusing, really. Once your creativity begins to open up, you can become so creative, and it's really wonderful. The process of writing is a beautiful process.
Yes, I second that.
Yeah, as you know. And it's lovely, really. It's a lovely experience, isn't it? And the fact that we wrote it together as well was a thing we shared together.
We did share it together, and since our company is united and we always work together, we're like twins. We really enjoyed writing the tales together. And we would sort of bounce off each other, because Yutka would write a tale and then I would write one inspired by her tale. Yeah. And it was a beautiful dance, really.
It was a dance of inspiration and enthusiasm between us that we hoped to be able to convey to the world, really. That was our hope.
You certainly have. And what you've just said there, I think that does sum up a lot of your book, because after reading it, I can see how it naturally flows together, and one story does bounce from the next story, and it does take you on a dance. It's it is.
Maybe we could read one of our tales out.
Oh yes, please do. Do you know, I really like the one email. It's one that I've on page 106, I believe.
Mhm.
I'd be impressed if that is on 106. That'll be telling you just how much it's kept into my mind.
It is. Yes, it is.
I use not word for word, but at work the other day I was explaining this when somebody said to me, "I don't like change," and straight away I flipped into about the email, and I thought. It was just, I'll let you share it with the audience and they can experience it themselves.
Okay.
Email.
This is a personal tale of how some people resist change.
They fight it with every instrument they know,
until they realize it made sense all along.
Around 18 years ago, in an international organization,
email was being introduced to take over the old memo system.
The number of people who complained each day was mind-blowing.
Nobody wanted the change.
In the same international organization today,
emails are the main method of communication used by the staff,
which just goes to show how something that was so contested at the time
is so loved today.
It is reported that one can hear the complaints when the email system has a problem.
A change is as good as a rest. Remember that.
Very true. Very true.
Our mother always used to say that. She would always say, remember, a change is as good as a rest. And we've always remembered it.
Can I ask you, Violetta, how did you get into it? How did you get involved with NLP? Where did your journey begin?
Well, it was quite a curious little story because we were at a coffee bar at a little soiree, and one of our friends, suddenly he brought this other guy along, and this guy started talking about body language. So we were absolutely fascinated. We immediately clued in and started listening. And then afterwards he said, I did a course in Rome with Richard Bandler and John Laval, and it was NLP. And so then I actually got quite angry with our friend, because I said, how come you never told us about this fantastic thing before? And you just kept secret. He goes, I've been doing it for years. And we were just so shocked how in normal conversations it never come out if it hadn't been for his friend. And so then that just started. So then I just said, look, just give me all the material that you've got. I've really got to start looking into this. And then we just went mad. I started looking into it, Violetta, and then I just went berserk.
Yeah.
I just went, I was just like, my brain was exploding.
Yeah,
I just couldn't believe it.
No, we became extremely enthusiastic about the whole thing. We were very, very passionate, and that's when we became very passionate about spreading the word to the world, because we thought, if this is so powerful, then how come more people don't know about it?
Yeah.
This is such a powerful set of tools to have.
We were just amazed.
We were just amazed by it. And we still are today.
Oh, I am there with you completely. Yeah. I went on a 4-day diploma solely to basically to stop my manager from hassling me about my professional development. In the advertisement, it said that there's a 4-day NLP diploma that covers all 6 of the key skills frameworks, which as nurses, it's something that you work towards. So that's covering communication, leadership, management, personal development, etc. So that was it. I thought 4 days and she's off my back for a year, and that was it. That's why I went on the course, and it just bowled me over. It absolutely bowled me over, and that was it. I was hooked. I went from the diploma to the practitioner to the master practitioner to the certified training. I opened up my own business. I wrote a book, another book. I'm doing a radio show now, and it does, because it gives the tools are just, they're so applicable and flexible within your life. It needs to get out there more, definitely.
It does. It really does.
What it taught us more than it taught us that you can actually run your own brain instead of your brain running you. Which before that had been just a foreign concept to us. We thought we had thoughts, and those thoughts were ours, and that we could do nothing about them. They were just our thoughts, our feelings and emotions, which they are. But NLP shows you that you can. It gives you the tools to say, hey, these are my thoughts, but I can change them if I want to. And so it makes you actually become aware of how your brain works. Which is so fascinating, because, I mean, at school we learn so many things, but we don't actually learn NLP or hypnosis and how our brain actually works, what it's actually doing. What are we doing? What are we doing inside our heads, between our ears?
Yeah. How are we communicating with ourselves? That is something that is not taught in schools. I think that should be, this is yours. I think that would be really important lesson to have perhaps once a week with the students, talking to them about how they're communicating with themselves and with others too, because that'd be very, very important. Whereas some subjects taught in schools aren't really that important. This would be a really, really valid life lesson to learn about how you communicate with yourself. And that is, I think that's the ultimate, the most important thing one can learn in life, really.
Yes, and we learned it quite when we were older, because if we had learned this at school, our lives could have been completely different. We're not complaining because we had great lives, but they could have been even greater.
They could have been, yeah.
And, we feel for people that do not know about neuro-linguistic programming or hypnosis, and they have no clue what it is, because we think, they are going about their daily lives
missing so much.
In a prison cell, not completely incarcerated, but I would say almost incarcerated, because they just do not realize what is out there for them when they actually, do learn how to run their own brains.
Yes, and when they realize about how many limiting beliefs are holding them behind, because that was one of the main things that also really surprised us when we learned about limiting beliefs and how people keep them for their entire life.
Yes, we said, what is this, a limiting belief? What is a belief that limits you? We had no clue.
We had no clue.
When we realized that it's something that isn't really there, it's not something that's really there, but it's something that you believe is there because of maybe what your teachers told you, that you're no good at maths, or you're no good at painting, or you're not creative, or you're not intelligent. And people actually go through their lives thinking that is that's something true for them, and it's not, and it's such a shame, and it's so liberating to know that
so they're not truth. They are just beliefs that have been formed at some time in that person's life. They are not truth.
That is one thing that I find with every client that I work with. They're not aware that limiting beliefs, for one, exist, two, that they have them, and once I've enlightened them to that fact, and they've recognised that, and they've seen all the patterns and the way they've lived their lives in accordance with that belief, it's almost a shock to the system, because they realise that they've acted. It's that self-fulfilling prophecy of I can't do this because I've been told I can't. It's almost like they've removed every shred of possibility or hope just because you've been told. Yeah. I was always told that, I was dyslexic, my English is rubbish, and you look through my childhood school books and it's all underlined in red and crossed out and low marks and see me's all the way through it. And, that just got worse because personally my attitude towards English got worse, and I wasn't interested because I thought, well, I'm not going to put any effort into it at all because I'm useless. And I was, I use that as an excuse all the time. Yet now, I've written 2 books.
Yeah.
So and that's all because of NLP, and it's because I no longer believe that I couldn't.
Yeah.
And it's that whole principle of possible in the world is possible for you. It's just a matter of how. And that was a big eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
So it was like, yes, it is possible, and I will find the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful, isn't it? Just hearing your story is so wonderful, because it can be the story of many.
It can be the story of many.
That's why these radio programs are so valuable, and we really love coming on the shows, because it's so wonderful to spread what we have now, to be able to give that to someone else.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely. I believe amongst what you're doing with your book, and when you're coaching within hypnosis and NLP, you also teach English using hypnosis and NLP. Can you explain a bit about that to our audience?
Well, yes, we've got our English course, which is actually an online course in which we incorporate the use of, how can we describe it, hypnotic language, I suppose, is the best way to say it. Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of NLP because we write daily posts, which lessons, where we use NLP as well. We do a lot of reframing, and we coach the students. We coach the students through their time with us. So by the end of it, they're really geared up to learning English.
Yeah, whether it's a 3 months or usually they spend 3, 6 or 12 months with us online. And it's every day, it's a different story that we tell them. They read out and they listen to the audio.
And what we find so fascinating is the fact that we engage our students, and we call them friends. We say, hello, friends. because we've seen that a lot of the students, especially here in Italy, they can really speak English, but they have blocks around speaking English. So they feel as if they're inadequate, or they have low self-esteem when they speak English. Maybe at school they've been told that their pronunciation is rubbish, or they had low marks at school. So we do find that a lot of Italians do actually speak English really well, but when you actually ask them, can you speak English, they say no. And it's not true, because afterwards, when we started a conversation with them, we've noticed that their English is really quite good. And it's certainly good enough to be able to communicate, which is what we think learning a language is all about. We think if you can communicate in that language, even if you're using sign language, and say, if you're not exactly grammatically perfect, it doesn't really matter. The point is that you have to communicate. And so that's the whole idea of our course. And we've also written our book, Don't Learn English, Smile, which says it all, basically.
Yes.
So we leave worrying, there's no worrying about learning English. It's smiling that's really important. And once you get into that smiling state, then the English will just come along easily.
Yes.
And basically how we teach the language.
Yes, and that's got the foreword by Kathleen Laval, so we're very proud of that. She's very kind to do that for us.
Yes.
The main essence behind your book is change. And I mean, as a coach, I do use a lot of Ericksonian language, basically to invite my client to go inside themselves and find their own answers and reasons for the current situation that they're in. Mainly because I find that be really, really empowering for them as a client. I mean, your book has just provided me with more and more tools to enable to do that. How have you found the resistance to change with your clients now, since writing the book, or since using the hypnosis and NLP side? How have you found it's changed and enhanced for you as the coach and for the patient?
Well, for us, writing the book, obviously, I mean, I think most people do resist change, even though it's really odd because we're changing all the time and nothing is ever the same. But we have this feeling about change, like as if it's something difficult. And people like routine and they like a pattern, so they like to sit on the same sofa every night, and they like to sit at the same place at the table. They like to go to the same coffee bar. And when it comes to changing other things as well, people usually are quite resistant to it unless they're really open-minded and, they're learning new things all the time. But in general, people are, and we were as well. We have found our journey. It's been a wonderful journey, and it's been really good fun, but it's been a challenge. It's been putting ourselves out of our comfort zone. And, maybe we would take 2 steps forward and then 1 step back the next day. We want to have like a duvet day. We want to say, no, this is...
But the difference was that we were aware of what was going on inside our minds, and we would say, oh, there it is again. We're taking one step back again. Now that's probably just fear knocking on the door again. And I think that's a big difference, really, isn't it, Violetta?
Well, it is. And for our clients, of course, when we use our hypnotic tales with them, or we use Ericksonian language, it's very difficult for them to resist change because we're not really talking to them, we're talking to their unconscious mind or the conscious mind. So the metaphors come in through the back door. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I mean, there's nothing scary about hypnotic language because we know a lot of people are frightened of hypnosis. The client of the patient, they have complete control over what they're doing, and they only accept what is good for them or what they want to accept. And the metaphors we use are so vague that they can actually interpret them in any way that they wish that's good for them. So it's basically all good. It's going to make them feel good, and they do feel good after seeing us. And they usually do go forward, don't they, and leap them down.
They do, yes.
Violetta, what do you find... Oh, let me rephrase that. I certainly experienced that fear is one of the biggest things with against change, really. They're scared of what they don't know. how would you advise? How would you advise that they can overcome that fear of the unknown? I think that's one of the things that holds a lot of people back. It's not just doing the change and having to change what they're doing. It's fearing what could happen because of it.
It's probably the fear of uncertainty, because they're not certain of what the outcome will be. And that's a fear that we all face. But I think if you're in the right state of mind, if you can imagine yourself doing something. So if we had a client, if we future pace them and we say, okay, so you want, say they wanted to do a public presentation, and you say, can you imagine yourself doing it? Can you imagine yourself feeling really good? You know, bring up the bright lights and, you know, talk them through it. I think once you can imagine yourself doing something, you can do it. Yeah. Because then your brain has already activated all the things you need to do it. Yeah. So, you know, so it's all about, I think it's about accepting fear really and saying, hey, if there aren't any big, you know, is there a big lion there that's going to eat me up? Is there a big tiger around the bush? Is there a big snake? Sometimes fear is useful. You know, we're not saying take fear away. Sometimes you need fear. So it's just really putting fear into proportion.
Yeah, I think so too. I think absolutely. And I think we also suggest that for them to become curious.
Yes.
Find that once you become curious about what's going to happen in the future, we usually make them feel very curious, don't we?
We do.
And so once the curiosity starts kicking in, usually the enthusiasm follows, and then it's just that's what gets them really motivated towards making that change that they said they wanted to make in the first place before coming to see us. Usually they want to make a change.
Yeah.
That's why they come.
I do love curiosity. I mean, it's the foundations of NLP. It's why it all started, wasn't it? It was absolutely. Richard Bandler and John Grindler's curiosity into what made successful people successful. What was the difference? What is it that they're doing that I'm not? And finding that is what became, finding that, modelling that, installing it in themselves. It was then how the tools of NLP came about.
Yeah.
And it's that curiosity and that open-mindedness.
Yeah.
Which is, that's the root of the hypnosis in NLP as well.
Yes, it is indeed.
We wrote about curiosity, and we also talked about it with Carol Robertson, who we're working with. And we you know, there's the expression, curiosity killed the cat. You know, we don't really feel that's true.
No, not at all.
It's the opposite. We feel the cat is able to live so long just because he is curious. And we totally believe that it's a curiosity that keeps people alive. Because when you stop becoming curious, I think that's when you actually start becoming old in your brain, the brain cells become old. It's when the curiosity stops. When you're just walking around your life in that catatonic state, no longer curious of anything going around that's going on around you. That is when you can. That is when people get old, really old,
well,
mentally.
That's like being alive, but you're not really alive. You're sort of half dead.
Yeah, and no matter what's going on around you, you're just walking around like that, and that's what we like to do. We like to unveil the curiosity that's naturally within everybody, because everybody has this curiosity inside them. It's just they've forgotten how to access it. They've simply forgotten how to look at things the way they used to look at things. That's all it is. And they've forgotten how to listen to things with the ears that they used to listen to them with. They've just simply forgotten how to enjoy life, how to smell certain smells and how to live life. They've simply forgotten. That's what's happened.
I couldn't agree more. I find I use just the term curiosity a lot, especially with my patients. I often say I'm curious as to how well you're going to feel now that you've had your operation, and just by using that, you can see they're like, so am I. And because you start thinking of how well they're going to feel, they just change. And they change right in front of your eyes. Everything about them, they're everything. And you can see it. I mean, I work in intensive care, and, you know, there's monitors all over and around, and you can see the the change on the screen, let alone assessing the patient and seeing how different they are. And it's just by inviting people to be curious, to notice what's around them.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I found with your book. It's the curiosity of each tale, of its title, of how it induces you into reading it, and it guides you then through that change. It's lovely. It is. It's really lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talking about, we were also wondering about what people say to themselves, because we were reading a few Facebook statuses, and this lady said that she had problems and things were going to get worse because she was getting older. And I was thinking, what kind of suggestions is this lady saying to herself, that things are just going to get worse and worse and worse instead of better and better and better? And is she setting out her own belief system that she's going to get more and more ill and feel more and more poorly? And it's because people don't realize that the language that they use with themselves is so important.
Absolutely.
If we can just convey this message across, if you are listening, the language that you say to yourself every day makes you, because thoughts are things. The things that you say to yourself become your reality. So if you say, I am going to get worse, or I'm not going to get a job, or I'm not going to, pass my exams, that will happen, because the thing about your unconscious mind is that it likes to please you.
It does, yeah.
So it will please you. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to be really good at this, and I'm going to achieve that, and blah, 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 you will achieve this and you will achieve that, and you will come on leaps and bounds. But if you say the opposite to yourself, you will, unfortunately, become that.
Yeah, it can tend to happen. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy, just as you said before, Donna. It really is. And that's a very sad thing.
It is. It's
sad,
completely.
It's happy as well, because it's so easy to fix. Start changing the language that you use with yourself.
That's
so
a simple thing.
If you look in the mirror and you say, I look awful today, turn it around and say, I look lovely today.
Yeah.
Or how sweet is this person looking at me?
And this is nothing new, really, because if you think about it, the monks from Tibet, they actually do this every morning. They've been doing this for centuries and centuries. Every morning when they wake up, they force themselves to smile, whether they're feeling like smiling or not, because they realize that this is going to change their state of mind. And then not only do they smile, they also say enthusiastic words to themselves of encouragement. And this is their practice. I mean, this was well before NLP, well before anything else was invented. This is what they were doing. So this is what, the listeners can do. It's very simple. You just wake up and you say a few enthusiastic words to yourself in your mind. And just you would to somebody that you really care about, somebody that you really love. Those are the kinds of words you can say to yourself, and that's going to make one hell of a difference, isn't it?
Yes, it'll make a hell of a difference to your day and to your life.
To your whole life, and it will change the way that you begin to think about yourself. And really, that's the ultimate thing, the communication with yourself.
Yeah, it is. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I see it with my patients. I always come in and I'll always say when I first see them, wow, gosh, you look so much better than the last time I saw you. In what ways are you feeling better than the last time you saw me? So I'm getting them to focus on the good things that they're feeling.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And even if they do say, well, I don't feel quite, I don't feel as good, or if they don't feel in that way, and I'm like, well, surely something must be going really well because you're looking a lot better.
Yeah.
And using that and saying that, you can see it happen, and the conversation changes. And even if they were a bit lower in mood or unsure, it does lift them, and they start paying attention. And as you say, they focus on things differently.
Absolutely. That's a lovely gift you give to your patients.
Yes, it's beautiful.
That's wonderful.
We have another story maybe we can read, another little tale.
Do you know, I was just going to say, what is your favourite story in the book?
Well, we haven't really got a favourite.
We haven't really got
a bit like kids. We love them all.
They're our little babies. Yeah, we do. We tend to be non-critical of what we write because it just comes from the heart. So what's there to criticise?
Yeah.
So we tend to love them all, don't we?
We do. We wrote our book and we hardly edited it at all.
No.
Because we thought if this is coming from our unconscious mind, because we went into like a lovely calm state where our heartbeat lowered and we were feeling really good and calm, and we go inside. And when you're in that kind of calm meditative state where you can feel the chair and you can feel your feet on the floor, and when you write something like that, it's got to come from your unconscious mind. So I don't think who are we?
Who are we to judge? Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. We've got one here that we're quite fond of, so maybe we'd like to read that.
Yeah, so we think it's suitable for the show.
Okay.
Perfect.
It's called Between You and You.
Yes.
Many things that occur between you and you.
Some you are aware of, others maybe not so.
This may cause conflicting ideas that create inner obstacles, friction and unease.
You see, at times your conscious mind may not be in tune with your unconscious mind or subconscious mind if you prefer.
And you may have a feeling that something is not quite right, or perhaps even a dream late at night that is telling you to change your ways.
Call it a gut feeling or a premonition. It doesn't really matter.
The important thing is for you to be in tune with your inner you.
When you listen to what you have to say to yourself,
your conscious mind and your unconscious mind will be balanced.
Balancing you and you.
Lovely.
Oh.
It is lovely.
Yeah, that really, for us, that signifies the inner balance that is what really makes a person congruent when they're both the conscious mind and the other than conscious mind are in that beautiful place of equilibrium. You see the person has that serenity about them, that inner calm, and they come across as being somebody that's confident and is generally very congruent and really does speak their mind. And those are the kind of people that when you do manage to balance and when you do learn how to trust your inner gut, and when you do begin to listen to what you're telling yourself and to your instincts, that's when you become that kind of person that everybody wants to be around. People can feel that kind of energy, can't they?
Well, they can. They can feel the calm energy.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful place to be. And when we did discover our unconscious minds, and because as you grow up, you hear about the subconscious mind, but I think until you actually delve a little bit deeper, you don't really quite know what it means. You know that it's a mind that, when you're dreaming or when you're maybe reading a book, that you go to that kind of lovely trance state. But other than that, you don't really know much about it. And I think once you realize what your unconscious mind does for you and that it does listen to you, it becomes like a lovely ally for you. And so when we discovered that, we just sort of never really felt alone ever again. It's like having, if you're religious, it's like having a guardian angel inside you, or something spiritual that you take with you. And everything else kind of seems so trivial, and the little problems that you had before just kind of seem to melt away. And you feel that great power within you, and you really do feel powerful. And the reason why you feel powerful is because you're not working against your unconscious mind. You're working together with it. Yeah. So you're working with that you, and you are balanced, and it's a beautiful place to be in, full of fun and laughter and happiness.
It is. I couldn't agree more. And it's that, I think, that explains what we were talking about before, of if you don't believe something, if you don't believe you can do something, then you won't, because it's that communication that you're having with your unconscious mind. If you're saying that I can't do it, or you don't believe you can do it, it becomes not important to you because you've already surrendered to not being able to. And if it's not important to you, yet that passion and that drive to do it are taken away.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And that is, that's just such a shame because we all have so much potential in us. And it's so beautiful to see that when we have clients and we see the potential, come out in them and we see their eyes light up. It's just absolutely fantastic. And, it's not always, life isn't always happiness. It's not always about being happy, but it's about being able to manage. When you have got an unfortunate situation, it's about being able to see the other side of it as well and saying, hey, I can cope with this because I know what I'm saying to myself. I know how my unconscious mind is working. I know that it's going to protect me and love me. And whatever happens, I'm going to be okay. And that's really comforting.
Yeah, and empowering too.
And empowering.
It's very empowering.
It certainly is empowering even. It's that permission, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You've got permission, and if things don't work, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay for things not to work.
Exactly.
I find so many people they're absorbed by it has to work, and if it doesn't work, I'm a failure. And it's like, no, you're not a failure at all. You've done something. It hasn't worked. So, you know how not to do it. But how much would you have learned about yourself? And in that process, what did you do? Who did you meet? What did you, new things that will have happened because you tried.
Yeah.
And it's so empowering. It is.
It's lovely, and it goes back to there is no failure, only feedback, because every failure you have, you can always learn something from it. And as you learn, you experience new things, and it's wonderful. I mean, life is great. It's a great adventure. It's an adventure that's to be lived.
It is, absolutely. To be lived to the fullest of all of our potentials that we all have inside us, and to really be enjoyed to the fullest.
And to awaken our senses and think, hey, if I can learn something new every day, imagine if all the listeners go and learn something new. It can be something really trivial, but just a new little thing every day. It actually awakens your senses, and it makes life really exciting.
Yeah, or perhaps, just delve into something that you may not have dwelled in before. Just perhaps take an interest in something you would have never perhaps been interested in before. Now that's going to open up something new in your life that could open up many new other doors that you may have never ever thought of going through or even noticed before. And that can just come about by taking an interest in something that you may have never even thought, no, that's not for me, or perhaps no, that's not who I am. Well, just have a look. Just take a dip into somebody else's reality. You can become curious, can ask other people what they do, what kind of hobbies they have, and begin to wonder, maybe that is quite interesting for me. Maybe I can go along and assist and see what they're doing. And who knows what comes out from that maybe and from that wondering. Many things come about.
Many things do.
And that's what we always encourage, isn't it?
It is. Well, I could talk to you all day. I really could. And I know that the show's drawing to an end, so I've got to ask you, how can people get in contact with you? Where can they buy your book from? And everything like that, so that our listeners can have the pleasure that I've had of reading this book.
Well, Enchanting Tales for Change with Hypnosis and NLP is available on Amazon or in any good bookshop. So that's fantastic. And you can also contact us on Facebook, The English Sisters, Twitter @English Sisters, or on our site, hypnoramblings.com,
where the viewers can watch.
They can watch us on video. We do lots of videos.
They are a must-see. I'll tell that to all the audience. Well, thank you so much for being on today. It's been a joy, a pure joy. And thank you, and to all of our listeners, thank you for listening to the NLP View. Today, it's been with me, Donna Blinston. I hope you have enjoyed the show, and I hope that you'll go and buy the The Entrancing Tales for Change by the English Sisters. It's a joy to read. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.